tells you that writing a first book is a bit like trying to build a house where then you have no idea what a door is. I've been there. I've rewritten chapter 1 more times than I can count. I've given up on so many books halfway through. Today I'm telling you the honest truth about writing a novel as a beginner. Stuff I wish someone had told me before I spent months going around in circles. The myth that keeps everybody back is the idea that your first draft has to be structured, linear, and planned in advance. The truth is it doesn't. First drafts are not the final product. If you look at any of the books on your shelf, whether it's your favourite book or your least favourite book, it has gone through rounds and rounds of editing, either by themselves or with a professional editor. And that means that their book is going to be better than yours because they've gone through this process. Comparing your first draft to a finished book is going to make you feel terrible every single time because it's like comparing a sketch to the Mona Lisa. They're not the same thing, they're not comparable. Your only job in draft 1 is to finish your book. It is to tell yourself the story and have a finished draft that you can then go and edit. The amount of times that I've quit a book halfway through and found that this stupid idea was holding me back is it's so frustrating. Hi, I'm Maddie. I'm a marketer by day, a writer by night, and I'm here to share all the information I wish someone had told me before I spent an egregious amount of money on my film and creative writing degree. In this video, we're going to talk about this myth and why it works for some people, why it's become so popular, and the 3 things that will actually help you finish the first draft of your book. First of all, I'd like to say that writing advice differs for every person. This might be the way that you write your first drafts, and if this works for you, then I want you to completely disregard this video because all writing advice is subjective. You have to find your process that works for you. It's just that this idea held me back for so many years that I really just wanted to share that there isn't the only way and you can find another way, and hopefully this will help someone, and that's what my whole channel is about. It's about sharing advice that I really wish someone had told me in the hopes that you can get to an end point much faster than I did. I spent like 5 years writing regularly and I never finished a full first draft of a novel until November of last year, and since then I finished the first draft of 2 novels. Okay, the 3 things that I found actually helped my writing process that I think you should ask yourself right now in the hopes that it will help you write your first draft of your book is: number 1, figure out if you are a pantser or a plotter. I talk about this quite a lot in my videos, and that is because for years I thought that I was a plotter. So a plotter is someone who goes in with a structured outline and they plan their entire book before they start writing it. So this can be anything from character arcs to story structure, the whole plot, what might happen in every chapter, what might happen in every scene. I've seen people with like 20,000 word outlining documents, which is crazy to me. And sort of it can be anywhere on the scale. If you do a lot of the research and the outlining for your book in advance, then you are probably a plotter. I am actually the other way. I am a pantser. So a pantser is someone who flies by the seat of their pants, or in other words, we write books without having any kind of outline. So for me personally, I will think of an idea and I will just write a whole book based on that idea. I will often write it out of order, and it's usually just a premise or an interesting character or an interesting scene, and the whole book gets revolved around that. So for my current project, which I'm calling Grave Danger at the minute, it's YA horror fantasy about a girl trying to hunt down the people who burnt her life to the ground and the local graveyard keeper who is horrified that someone would insult his god. And I literally had 1 scene in mind for that book when I started writing it, and it was the end. So I wrote the whole book just trying to get these 2 characters to the end, and then what happened after that, it was sort of the third act climax and everything that happened after, everything that happened before, and I'm editing it currently. And there's also people in between who are sometimes called plantsers. These are people who sometimes have a little bit of an outline. They might rely on story structures like Save the Cat or other kind of beat sheets, 3-act structure, that kind of thing. They have a little bit of an idea before they go in, but they're not like fully outlining like plotters do. Whatever you're thinking right now, you're sat there going, I'm 100% a plotter, I plot all my books, it works for me. I want you to try doing the opposite thing, because I spent 3 years plotting books. I remember reading Stephen King's On Writing, which if you haven't read it, it's a great book. It's a bit of a memoir and a bit of writing advice, and he is a famous pantser, so he always knows what the end of his book is, but he's just writing towards it. And I remember reading that and being like, oh my god, this guy's insane. And that is now exactly how I write my books, and it held me back for so many years because I thought that I was doing the right thing for me, and I thought that I'd found the writing process that worked for me, and it actually hadn't, because for me, and I know for a lot of other pantsers, half the fun of a first draft is discovering the plot and finding out what's happening as you're going along. That's why we're sometimes called discovery writers. You get the excitement from uncovering the plot as you're writing it, while plotters like to know what they're going into beforehand. And I kept quitting books halfway through because either they weren't working and I couldn't quite put my finger on it, and a lot of the times I was just bored. I was writing things based on my previous notes and I might have had a really good fun time planning them, but by the time I actually got to writing it felt like homework. And writing is hard, but it is supposed to be fun. It is a hobby for most people. Even if you become a full-time writer, you're often also working a job at the same time, so you have to find joy in it. You have to be writing for yourself. You have to be having a good time. So please figure out if you're a pantser or a plotter. If you are even really sure that you're one way or the other, just give the other one a little try. It can just be for a short story, it doesn't have to be for a whole thing, but please give the other way a little try and be 100% sure. If something's not working, try something new. Number two, the thing that they're never going to tell you on a creative writing degree, which is write worse, or in other words, lower your expectations. I think a lot of writers suffer from imposter syndrome, and this can come from a variety of places. So there are kind of two kinds of writers. There are people who have the book of their heart, which is this one story that they've always really wanted to write, and they don't necessarily want to be a career author, but they really want to write this book, and they really want to publish this book. And the pressure there comes from, this is your one thing, this is your book of your heart, you care about it so deeply, you care about the world and the characters, they're like your children, and you want it to do well, and you want it to be really good, and you want it to be successful, and you want your writing to perfectly portray the image that you have in your mind. And pressure can come then from, what if you don't do it justice? What if you aren't giving your idea the rating that it deserves? And on the flip side, you also have people who want to be career authors, which was a lot of people on the creative writing degree. Obviously, they're not going to tell you to write badly on the creative writing degree because the whole point is that they want to teach you how to write better. But I think there's a lot of pressure. You know, you're showing your work regularly to other people, which is very good. Getting critique is really good for your writing. It does help you improve. But there's also this constant pressure of showing up and are you as good as your peers? And even if you're writing totally different genres, it's like, oh my god, her writing's so much better than mine. Oh, his writing's so much worse. I'm so much better than him. At least there's that. It's just like this constant sort of sense of competition, and I think a little bit of healthy competition can be good. And God knows I have started so many writing competitions for word count with my friend group. We use TrackBear. This is not sponsored, this is just a fun website, and you can have little graphs where it shows you how many words someone's written. So we have one going for this year currently, and we also have done a couple of NaNoWriMos in the past to see, you know, progress people are making. It's just a really nice way to keep tabs on what everyone's writing and, you know, chat to people regularly. A little bit of healthy competition is fine and can be quite encouraging, but this constant pressure, either coming from yourself of like, oh, my debut book has to be really good, or I have to be better than my peers, or I have to be good enough to be worthy of this degree. It is such a lot of pressure, and you just need to get rid of it. You need to lower your expectations. I did not finish the first draft of my book for ages because I had this crushing weight of, this has to be marketable, this has to have good comp titles, I have to have written the query letter already even though I've not finished the book. And really what you need to be doing is writing bad first drafts. You will learn more from writing a bad first draft to completion than you will from writing 50 half-finished books that you've quit. And there's also this pressure of word count. I mean, as I say, I am a very fast writer, and that is most of the time because I'm writing really bad first drafts and I'm not writing stuff that's necessarily marketable. You know, I'm writing about queer characters, I'm writing about asexual characters because I'm a romantic asexual, and there's not like a huge market for that, definitely more than there was when I was growing up. But I'm writing stories that really resonate with me, that really connect with me, that aren't necessarily super marketable. They're just things that I'm interested in, the tropes that I really like, and that is how you write a book that you care about. So yeah, removing the pressure of, does this book have to be marketable, and writing the query letter beforehand and stuff, if that is putting pressure on you, then don't do it. There are no rules. And the other thing is writing thousands of words a day. I am a very fast writer, but that is because I write messy first drafts, and I'm also just a very fast typer, so that helps. But if something like NaNoWriMo, which is National Novel Writing Month, where you try and write 50,000 words in a month, if that kind of thing doesn't work for you, then don't force yourself to do that. You will be making more progress writing one sentence every day or writing a few words every day than trying to make yourself write 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 words every single day until you totally burn out and then you don't even want to look at your document and you hate everything about your life. Believe me, I've been there. Trust me, do what works for you. And number 3, tell yourself that your story will not come out the way you expect it and accept that. This can mean a few things. First of all, you can go in with this set idea, whether you're a pantser or a plotter, of what your book is going to look like, but sometimes your characters start doing things that you don't expect and you have to go along with it. You don't have to go along with it. They are characters. You do have control in the end. But if you're really feeling a calling that your character is doing something that feels so in character to them, then that is good. That is a sign of good writing to me, because it feels like you have like this innate understanding of who your character is and that you totally understand their character arc and how it fits into that. If you're stuck in a scene or a chapter and you have no idea where to go from there, I'm a big believer in writing a completely different scene. So the one that you're most excited about, it doesn't have to be in order. It can be the ending of the book or the start of the book or the middle of the book. It can be wherever you want, or you just decide what the worst thing your characters could do right now, or the worst thing that could happen to your characters right now, and you make that happen. And if that is a bomb going off, then you set a bomb off and you can foreshadow it later. That's what editing is for. You just have to make the book more interesting, because if you're bored while you're writing it, you're bored while you're reading it. That's my main 3 points, and I know that it's so scary to kind of think about giving yourself permission to write badly, because there is all of this pressure, and you know, I am sitting here speaking to you as an unagented author, so like, what do I know? But giving yourself permission to write bad first drafts, you can often go back. I'm editing my book at the minute and I've gone back and I gave myself full permission to write a messy, fast first draft, and I'm going back and it needs a lot of editing. I'm not gonna say it doesn't, but I'm like, you know, some of these lines are really good, some of this writing is really good. I'm upset for my characters, I put them through a lot of stuff, and things just don't work out the way you expect sometimes. You know, I started writing my book as a romantasy book, and then one of my friends read one of the scenes I wrote and she went, "Maddie, this is a horror book, you know that, right?" And I was like, is it? It is. It is. A guy crawls out of his own grave. It's a horror book. It's a horror book. Letting go of all of this pressure and writing things that you enjoy and that you think are good is the only way that you will ever get better as a writer. Nobody writes a perfect first draft. Nobody writes a perfect first novel. You just write one and then you write a better one. You have got this, and I believe in you. If you're really struggling finishing your first draft, then I recently posted a video talking through my tips on how to actually finish the first draft of your book. But otherwise, I hope this video helped. I hope your writing is going well, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your week, and I will see you next Friday. Happy writing!